Jin stood at the window of the space station looking out at the stars. This was his first time away from Earth. As a xenobiologist, he had studied alien life forms for years, but only from reports and samples. Now he would meet them face to face. "Are you ready?" asked Captain Park, the leader of Earth's first delegation to the Galactic Council. Jin nodded, though his stomach felt tight. "As ready as I'll ever be." The human delegation was small, just 5 people chosen to represent Earth. They had trained for months for this meeting. The aliens had made contact with Earth only a year ago. Today would be the first formal meeting between humans and the 23 species of the Galactic Council. "Remember," said Captain Park, "we are the newcomers here. We must be respectful and careful." The doors to the meeting hall opened. Jin took a deep breath and followed Captain Park inside. The room was huge. Around a large round table sat beings of all shapes and sizes. Some looked almost human, with 2 arms and 2 legs. Others had multiple limbs, unusual skin colors, or body shapes Jin had never imagined. The air smelled strange, a mix of scents Jin couldn't identify. A tall, blue-skinned alien stood up. "Welcome, humans of Earth. I am Ambassador Rel, head of the Galactic Council. We are pleased to welcome you to our community of worlds." Captain Park stepped forward and bowed. "We thank you for your welcome, Ambassador. Earth is honored to join you." The introductions began. Each species had its own representative who stood and greeted the humans. Jin tried to remember all their names and species, but there were so many. The Vossarians were tall with 4 arms and climbed with amazing skill. The Delvians were sleek and fast, known for their quick movements. The Krell were large and muscular, proud of their strength. Each species seemed to have some impressive physical ability. When the introductions finished, Ambassador Rel spoke again. "We have prepared a welcome ceremony. Please, join us in the Great Hall." The group moved to a larger room where many more aliens waited. Music played from strange instruments. Food and drinks were served. Jin walked around trying to be friendly. Several aliens came up to study him. "You are smaller than I expected," said a Krell, looking down at Jin with 4 eyes. "Humans do not appear very impressive," said another alien to its friend, not realizing Jin could hear. "No claws, no speed, no special abilities." Jin smiled politely. He was used to this reaction. In the reports Earth had received, humans were described as physically unimpressive but intellectually interesting. It wasn't wrong. Compared to these aliens with their special abilities, humans did seem ordinary. Tay, the council security chief, approached Jin. She looked almost human except for her golden skin and large eyes. "You must be Jin, the xenobiologist," she said. "I've read your papers on adaptive biology. Very interesting." "Thank you," Jin said, surprised that anyone had read his work. "I'm looking forward to learning more about all the species here." Suddenly, a loud bang echoed through the room. Jin turned to see smoke rising from the other side of the hall. People were shouting and moving away from something. "The Vossarian diplomat is down," someone shouted. Jin saw a small, fast shape running through the crowd. Without thinking, he started moving toward it. The shape, clearly some kind of alien, was heading for an exit. "Stop," Tay shouted, pulling out some kind of weapon. But the crowd was too thick, and the assassin was too fast. Jin broke into a run following the assassin. He pushed through the crowd, keeping his eyes on the small figure ahead. The assassin looked back, surprised to see someone following, then ran faster. They burst out of the hall into a long corridor. The assassin was quick, clearly a Delvian, the species known for their speed. It sprinted ahead, turning corners and racing down hallways. Jin followed, settling into a steady run. The police station was huge with endless corridors and levels. The assassin ran upstairs, down ramps, through busy areas and empty halls. It was faster than Jin in short bursts, but Jin kept a steady pace. When the assassin looked back again, Jin was still there. 5 minutes passed. Then 10. The assassin's speed began to drop. It was breathing hard now, its movements less smooth. Jin maintained his pace, neither speeding up nor slowing down. His breathing was controlled, his steps steady. 15 minutes into the chase, Jin saw the assassin stumble. It caught itself and continued running, but slower now. Jin's body had found its rhythm. He could feel sweat on his skin, cooling him as he ran. His muscles worked efficiently, burning energy at a rate he could maintain for hours. Station security officers tried to help, but they couldn't keep up with either the assassin or Jin. They followed using the station's cameras, watching the strange chase unfold. After 20 minutes, the assassin made a mistake. It turned down a dead-end corridor. When it reached the end, it turned to face Jin, pulling out a weapon. It was breathing in gasps, its limbs shaking from exhaustion. Jin slowed to a walk, approaching carefully. He was breathing harder than normal, but he wasn't exhausted. He could have kept running. "There's nowhere to go," Jin said. "Put down your weapon." The assassin looked at Jin with confusion and fear. "How?" it gasped. "How are you still coming?" Security officers arrived a moment later, taking the assassin into custody. Tay was with them, staring at Jin with wide eyes. "That was over 20 minutes of continuous running," she said. "No other species I know could maintain that chase. The Delvian is completely exhausted, but you—" She looked at Jin's vital signs on her scanner. "You could keep going, couldn't you?" Jin nodded. "For hours if needed. Humans evolved as persistence hunters. We can't run as fast as many animals, but we can run longer. We would chase prey until it collapsed from exhaustion." News of the chase spread quickly through the station. Jin found himself suddenly the center of attention. Aliens who had dismissed humans as unimpressive now looked at him with new interest and, in some cases, concern. That evening, the council held an emergency meeting. Jin was asked to attend. The assassin was working alone. Ambassador Rel announced, "The Vosarian diplomat will recover. We thank the human Jin for his quick action." A Krell representative stood up. "We should discuss what we witnessed today. This human chased down a Delvian, our fastest species, without using technology or weapons, just by continuing." Tay displayed a recording of the chase on a large screen. "As you can see, the human maintains a steady pace, while the Delvian uses bursts of speed. By the end, the Delvian is completely exhausted while the human is still functional." The aliens murmured among themselves. "We may have underestimated humans," Ambassador Rel said finally. "They do not have the speed of the Delvians or the strength of the Krell, but this endurance is concerning." Jin realized something important had changed. Before today, the aliens had seen humans as interesting but weak newcomers. Now they had seen something that made them uneasy, the first hint that humans might be more dangerous than they appeared. A Vosarian spoke up. "If this is what one human can do, what would a group of them be capable of?" Jin caught Tay's eye, across the room. She gave him a small smile that seemed to say, "The galaxy just learned why you should never run from a human. Because they will catch you, eventually." 3 months had passed since Jin's chase through the space station. Life had changed for him. Aliens now watched him wherever he went. Some looked at him with fear, others with respect. Many just seemed curious. Jin sat in the station's eating area, enjoying a bowl of food that reminded him of home. The chefs had learned to make meals for humans. He heard whispers from nearby tables. "That's the human who ran down the Delvian. I heard humans can run for days without stopping. Is it true they hunt by chasing until their prey dies from tiredness?" Jin tried to ignore the talk. He was used to it now. He focused on his meal instead. Tay, the security chief, sat down across from him. Her golden skin shone under the lights. "How are you today, Jin?" she asked. "I'm fine," he said. "Just tired of being stared at. I didn't do anything special, you know. Any human could have done what I did." Tay nodded. "That's what worries them. The idea that all humans can do this." She leaned closer. "I've been studying your species. Your persistence hunting is unique in the galaxy. Most species evolved for fight or flight, quick bursts of action. But humans evolved to keep going, to never stop. Jin shrugged. It's just how we are. We're not the strongest or the fastest, we just don't give up. Before Tay could answer, her communication device beeped. She looked at it and frowned. The council wants to see us both. Now. They walked to the council chamber, together. The large round room was filled with representatives from all 23 species. Ambassador Rel nodded to them as they entered. Jin Tay, thank you for coming. We have a visitor who wishes to speak with you. A large, muscular alien stepped forward. Jin recognized him as a Krell, one of the species known for their strength. This one was bigger than most, with scars across his gray skin. I am Grek, War Chief of the Krell, he announced in a deep voice. I have come to challenge the human. Jin blinked in surprise. Challenge me? To what? Grek's 4 eyes narrowed. For 3 months, I have heard stories about human endurance, about how your kind can outlast any species. The Krell are apex predators, the greatest hunters in the galaxy. I do not believe humans are superior. Ambassador Rel raised a hand. Grek proposes a contest, a pursuit race through the Krell hunting grounds. Jin would represent humans against hunters from 5 other species. Jin stared at them. You want me to race? I'm not an athlete. I'm a scientist. That is exactly the point, Grek rumbled. If an ordinary human can defeat our best hunters, then we will believe these stories. If not, then we will know humans are not as special as they claim. We're not claiming anything. Jin protested. Tay spoke up. The council believes this contest would be good diplomacy, a way to understand human capabilities better. Jin looked around the room. All eyes were on him. He realized he didn't have much choice. Earth needed good relations with the Galactic Council. When would this contest happen, he asked. In 1 week, Grek said. On Krell Prime, our homeworld. The race will last 3 days across different terrains. The competitors must track and tag mechanical prey throughout the course. Jin took a deep breath. Fine, I'll do it. After the meeting, Tay walked with Jin back to his quarters. They're underestimating you, she said. I've been researching humans. You have more than just endurance. You have something called runner's high. Your brains reward you for long. Exercise, you enjoy the chase itself. And you adapt, solve problems while moving. I'm still not an athlete, Jin reminded her. You don't need to be, Tay said. Just be human. That's what they don't understand yet. The week passed quickly. Jin exercised daily, but he knew he couldn't become a professional runner in 7 days. Instead, he studied the other competitors in the Krell hunting grounds. There would be 5 aliens racing against him. A Delvian sprinter named Rill, famous for his speed. A Vosarian climber named Lana, who could scale any surface. A Telex hive mind tactician. A collection of small creatures that worked together as one. A Krell hunter, Grek's own son. And a Meridian aquatic predator for the water sections of the Yaup course. The day came to travel to Krell Prime. Jin joined the other competitors on a fast ship. None of them spoke to him during the journey. They saw him as an outsider, someone who didn't belong in their contest. Krell Prime was a harsh planet. Hot days, cold nights and varied terrain, forests, mountains, plains, and lakes. Jin looked out at the landscape as their ship landed and felt a knot in his stomach. What had he gotten himself into? A large crowd had gathered to watch the start of the race. Thousands of aliens from all species had come to see the contest. Jin saw Tay standing with the council members. She gave him an encouraging nod. Grek stepped onto a platform. Welcome to the Great Hunt. Today, we will see which species is the true apex predator. Each competitor must find and tag 20 mechanical prey animals hidden throughout the course. The race will last 3 days. The one who tags the most prey wins. The competitors lined up at the starting point. Jin stood at the end, feeling small next to the others. The Delvian Rill stretched his legs. The Vosarian Lana flexed her 4 arms. The Krell hunter checked his tracking equipment. The Telex hive mind buzzed with activity. The Meridian's scaled skin glistened with water. A loud horn sounded. The Race had begun. Rill, the Delvian, disappeared in a blur of speed. Lana the Vosarian immediately headed for the rocky terrain, climbing with amazing skill. The others each chose different paths. Jin started a steady jog, focusing on his breathing. He knew he couldn't match their speed, so he wouldn't try. First prey targets were easy to find. Jin tagged 2 in the first hour, but when he reached the third target, he found it already tagged by Ryle. The Delvian was far ahead of everyone. By midday, Jin had tagged only 4 targets. He heard the announcer's voice on speakers throughout the course. The Delvian leads with 8 tags. The Vosarian and Krell tied for second with 6 each. The Telex and Meridian with 5. The human trails with only 4. Jin ignored the announcement. He kept his steady pace, studying the patterns of the mechanical prey. They weren't random. They followed specific paths, hiding in similar places. As he ran, Jin mapped these patterns in his mind. The day grew hotter. Jin drank water from streams, knowing how to filter it with the tool he'd been given. He ate small food packets. He kept moving while he ate and drank. As evening approached, Jin saw Rill resting under a tree. The Delvian looked exhausted. He had pushed himself too hard in the heat. Jin nodded to him as he passed, still moving at the same pace he'd started with. When night fell, most competitors made camps to rest. Jin took a short nap, just 30 minutes, then continued through the darkness. The night was cold, but movement kept him warm. He used the stars to navigate. By dawn, Jin had tagged 12 prey. He heard the morning announcement with surprise. Standings. After day 1, Vosarian in first with 13 tags, human in second with 12. Krell and Delvian tied with 11, Telex with 9, Meridian with 7. As the sun rose on the second day, Jin saw the other competitors looking at him with new respect. They hadn't expected him to be in second place. Jin smiled to himself and kept running. The race was far from over. In the viewing area, Tay stood with Ambassador Rel and Grek. "The human runs even through the night," Grek said, his voice showing concern. "How is this possible?" "I told you," Tay replied. "Humans don't just have endurance. They have will, and the hunt has only just begun." The second day of the race dawned hot and dusty. Jin woke from his short rest feeling stiff but ready. He splashed water on his face from a nearby stream and ate a quick meal from his pack. The other competitors were already moving. Jin could see Lana, the Vosarian, climbing a tall rock formation in the distance. Jin checked his tracker. It showed the locations of the remaining prey targets. Most were in the difficult terrain ahead, mountains, deep valleys, and a wide lake. Jin took a deep breath and started running. The morning sun beat down as Jin entered a rocky area. He slowed his pace, careful not to twist an ankle. Ahead, he saw the Krell hunter moving fast through the rocks. The Krell looked back, saw Jin, and increased his speed. Jin kept his steady pace. He knew the Krell was pushing too hard in the growing heat. Humans had one advantage that few in the galaxy understood. They could cool themselves by sweating. Most aliens couldn't do this. By midday, dark clouds gathered in the sky. The air grew heavy and hot. Jin could taste dust in the air. A storm was coming. He found shelter under a rocky overhang and watched as wind began to blow across the plains. The dust storm hit with surprising force, the air filled with swirling brown particles. Jin pulled his shirt up over his nose and mouth. He could barely see a few steps ahead, but his tracker still worked. He decided to keep moving. Through the dust, Jin saw a shape on the ground. Moving closer, he found the Meridian competitor lying still. The aquatic alien's skin was dry and cracked. Without water, the Meridian couldn't survive in these conditions. Jin pulled out his emergency signal. Within minutes, a rescue team arrived in a protected vehicle. "The Meridian is out of the race," the rescue leader told Jin. "The water sections have dried up in this unexpected storm." Jin nodded and continued on. The storm made progress difficult, but it also created opportunities. The mechanical prey sought shelter, making them easier to find in certain places. Jin tagged 3 more targets in quick succession. As the afternoon wore on, the storm grew. Worse. Jin's tracker showed another competitor nearby, not moving. He changed direction to investigate. He found the Telex hive mind scattered on the ground. The small creatures that made up the Telex were confused, unable to maintain their connection in the storm. Some were unconscious from the heat. Jin signaled for another rescue. As he waited, he gave water to the Telex creatures that were still conscious. They seemed surprised by his help. "Why assistant competitor?" one small Telex asked in a high voice. "Because you need it," Jin said simply. The rescue team arrived and gathered up the Telex. "That's 2 competitors out," the team leader said. "This storm is the worst we've seen in years. The race might be called off." "Are the others okay?" Jin asked. "The Delvian is struggling. The Krell and Vosarian are still moving but slowing down." Jin continued through the storm. His body ached, and his mouth was dry despite careful water rationing, but he kept moving 1 step at a time. By evening, the storm began to ease. Jin had tagged 16 prey targets. He checked his tracker for the standings. Lana, the Vosarian, still led with 17 tags. The Krell hunter had 16, same as Jin. Rill, the Delvian, had 15 but wasn't moving on the tracker. Jin headed toward Rill's location. He found the Delvian sheltering in a small cave, breathing hard. "Are you injured?" Jin asked. Rill looked up with surprise. "No, just exhausted. Cannot continue in this heat. Used too much energy early in race." Jin offered Rill some water. "The storm is passing. Help will come soon." "Why do you stop?" Rill asked. "You lose time." Jin shrugged. "You needed help. I would not have stopped for you," Rill admitted. "I know," Jin said, then continued on his way. Night fell, bringing cooler air. Jin found his rhythm again, running through the darkness. His muscles burned, but it was a good feeling. His body was made for this, the long chase, the steady movement. Humans called it the runner's high, a feeling of strength and clarity that came with extended exercise. Jin reached the base of a steep mountain. His tracker showed a prey target near the top. As he started to climb, he saw movement above. Lana, the Vosarian, scaling the cliff face with her 4 arms. The climb was difficult. Jin's hands became raw and scratched. His legs trembled with the effort. But he kept going, finding handholds in the darkness, pulling himself up inch by inch. He reached the prey target just after Lana had tagged it. The Vosarian looked at him with surprise. "You climb well for a 2-armed species," she said. "Humans have been climbing mountains for thousands of years," Jin replied, catching his breath. "You should rest," Lana said. "No one can continue at this pace." Jin smiled. "Watch me." He descended the mountain and continued his hunt. Through the night, Jin tagged 4 more prey targets. He took another short rest before dawn, just 30 minutes of sleep, then started again. The morning announcement came as the sun rose. Standings after day 2. Human in first place with 20 tags. Vosarian in second with 19, Krell in third with 17, Delvian officially withdrawn with 15, Telex and Meridian withdrawn. In the viewing area, the crowd buzzed with excitement. Tay stood with Ambassador Rel and Grek watching the race on large screens. "Impossible," Grek muttered. "The human hasn't stopped, even through the storm, even through the night." "Jin has taken only 1 hour of sleep in 2 days, Tay said, checking her datapad. "His heart rate is elevated but stable. Body temperature normal." "How?" Ambassador Rel asked. "How can a species function like this?" "Evolution," Tay replied. "On Earth, humans didn't have the strongest claws or teeth. They couldn't run as fast as their prey, but they could keep going when other animals had to rest. They would chase animals that were much faster until those animals collapsed from exhaustion." On a screen, they watched as Jin ran across a flat plain, his movements still smooth despite 2 days of racing. "And his mind is still working," Tay continued. "Look how he's tracking patterns, predicting where the prey will be. He's not just running, he's hunting." Grek's son, the Krell hunter, appeared on another screen. The young Krell was moving quickly, trying to catch up to Jin, but his movements were jerky, desperate. He stumbled, fell, got up again. "My son pushes himself too hard," Greg said with concern. Moments later, they saw the Krell hunter collapse. He didn't get up. Rescue teams moved in immediately. "Heat exhaustion," a medical officer reported. "He'll recover with rest, but he's out of the race." Greg looked at Tay, his 4 eyes wide. Only the Vosarian and the human remain. On the screen, Jin had stopped by a stream. He drank water, splashed some on his face, then started running again. His face showed fatigue, but also something else, a kind of calm focus, almost like joy. "The human is enjoying this?" Ambassador Rel asked in disbelief. "Yes," Tay said. "That's what makes humans truly dangerous. They don't just endure the chase. They love it." The final day of the race was about to begin. Jin and Lana, the last competitors, faced the hardest part of the course. Jin was in the lead, but the Vosarian was close behind. In the wilds of Krell Prime, Jin ran on. His body hurt, but his mind was clear. 1 foot after another. Never stopping, never giving up. He was showing the galaxy what humans could do. The third day began with a clear sky. The dust storm had passed, leaving the air clean but the ground dry and cracked. Jin stood at the edge of a steep valley, looking at his tracker. Only 10 mechanical prey targets remained. He had tagged 20, so far. Lana, the Vosarian, had 19. Jin's body felt heavy after 2 days of running. His muscles ached. His feet had blisters. But his mind was clear and focused. He took a drink of water, ate a small energy bar, and started down into the valley. The remaining prey targets were hidden in the most difficult places. Deep caves, high cliffs, thick forests. Jin studied his tracker and saw that 3 targets were clustered in the forest ahead. He headed there first. The forest was dense with strange plants. Thick trees with blue leaves blocked the sunlight. The ground was covered with tangled roots. Jin moved carefully, watching for dangers. Krell Prime had native animals that could be threats. Jin found the first forest target inside a hollowed tree. As he tagged it, he heard a sound overhead. Looking up, he saw Lana moving through the treetops. The Vosarian used her forearms to swing from branch to branch with amazing speed. "Good morning, human," she called down. "You run well, but I climb better." She disappeared into the canopy. Jin smiled and continued his hunt. He found the second forest target under a fallen log. The third was hidden near a small pond. By midday, Jin had tagged 23 prey. His tracker showed Lana had 22. The race was close. The announcer's voice echoed through the forest. "The human and Vosarian are neck and neck on the final day." The galaxy watches in amazement as these two continue their incredible contest. Jin exited the forest and faced a new challenge, a wide canyon with steep walls. His tracker showed 2 prey targets at the bottom of the canyon and 1 on the far side. Jin looked for a way down. He found a narrow path that zigzagged down the canyon wall. It was dangerous. Loose rocks could cause a fall. Jin moved slowly, testing each step. Halfway down, he heard a rumble. The ground shook. Small rocks tumbled around him. "Earthquake," the announcer's voice warned. "All contestants take caution." Jin pressed himself against the canyon wall as the shaking continued. When it stopped, he looked down and saw that part of the path had fallen away. There was now a gap too wide to step across. Jin thought quickly. He took off his belt and tied it to a nearby rock. Then he used it to swing across the gap. It was risky, but it worked. He continued down to the canyon floor. At the bottom, Jin found the 2 prey targets quickly. His tracker now showed 25 tags for him and 24 for Lana. The Vosarian was close behind, finding different routes but maintaining her pace. Jin started climbing the far side of the canyon. It was steep and difficult. The sun beat down, making the rocks hot to touch. Jin's hands were raw and bleeding. His legs trembled with exhaustion. Halfway up, Jin heard a cry for help. He looked across the canyon and saw Lana. The Vosarian was trapped on a narrow ledge. The earthquake had caused a rock slide, blocking her path forward. She couldn't go back the way she had come. Jin had a choice. He could continue climbing, tag the last prey target, and win the race. Or he could help Lana. He thought for only a moment, then changed direction. Jin carefully made his way across the canyon face toward Lana. It took time and great effort. When he finally reached her, the Vosarian looked at him with confusion. "Why are you here?" she asked. "You should be finishing the race." "You need help," Jin said simply. "I am your competitor," Lana said. "You're also a person in danger," Jin replied. "Humans don't leave others behind." Jin studied the rock slide blocking Lana's path. He found a safe route around it and showed her where to place her hands and feet. Together, they made their way past the danger. "Thank you," Lana said when they reached safer ground. "I would not have done the same for you." "I know," Jin said. "Different species, different values." They continued climbing side by side for a while. Jin noticed that Lana was moving more slowly than before. Her breathing was heavy. Her limbs shook slightly. "Are you okay?" Jin asked. 3 days is long time," Lana admitted. "Never climbed this much before. Even Vosarians have limits." Jin nodded. "We all do. The trick is knowing where they are." He offered her some water from his pack. As they drank, Lana studied Jin's face. "You look tired, but not like you will stop." "I won't," Jin confirmed. "Unless I physically can't go on, I'll keep moving." "This is why others fear humans," Lana said quietly. "Not because you are strong or fast. Because you never stop." Jin considered this. "We're not trying to be scary. It's just how we survive." They reached the top of the canyon. Their tracker showed the final prey target was on a tall rock spire a kilometer away. Both Jin and Lana looked at it, then at each other. "May the best hunter win," Lana said, then took off at a run. Jin followed. Despite his exhaustion, his legs moved smoothly. His lungs burned but worked efficiently. 3 days of running had pushed his body to its limits, but those limits were far beyond what the aliens had expected. The rock spire rose like a needle from the plain. At its base, Jin and Lana arrived at almost the same time. They both looked up at the narrow tower of stone. The final prey target was visible near the top. Lana started climbing immediately. Her forearms gave her a clear advantage on the vertical surface. Jin began his climb more slowly, finding small handholds and footholds. Halfway up, Lana looked down at Jin. "You cannot win this part, human. Vosarians are the best climbers in the galaxy." "Probably true," Jin agreed, still climbing steadily. "But I'll still try." Lana reached the top first. She tagged the final prey target and raised her arms in triumph. Jin reached the top a few minutes later. "Congratulations," he said, offering his hand. Lana took it, a bit confused by the gesture. "You are not angry? You lost because you helped me." Jin shrugged. "The race was always just a way to learn about each other. I think we both learned a lot." They began their descent together. Jin's tracker showed the final score. Lana with 26 tags, Jin with 25. In the viewing area, the crowd was buzzing with excitement. Many were surprised by Jin's decision to help Lana. Tay stood with Ambassador Rel and Grek, watching. The screens. "The human lost the race to help a competitor," Grek said, sounding puzzled. "No," Tay replied. "He showed that humans value life over victory. It's part of what makes them dangerous. They work together. They help each other. Even strangers. A species that chases relentlessly but stops to help others," Ambassador Rel mused. "Fascinating contradiction." On the screen, Jin and Lana had reached the ground. They were walking together toward the finish line. Jin looked tired, but satisfied. The race would soon be over, but the greatest revelation about humans was yet to come. Jin and Lana walked together toward the finish line. After 3 days of racing across Krell Prime, both were exhausted but still moving. The crowd waiting at the finish area grew larger as they approached. All eyes were on the human and the Vosarian. the last two competitors in an event that had captured the galaxy's attention. "I still do not understand," Lana said as they walked. "You could have won if you hadn't helped me." "Winning wasn't the most important thing," Jin replied. "Then, what was?" Jin thought for a moment. "Showing who we really are, I guess. Humans value life over competition." They crossed the finish line together. The crowd erupted in cheers. Camera drones hovered around them, broadcasting their images across the galaxy. Jin saw Tay standing, with Ambassador Rel and Grek. She smiled at him. Medical teams approached to check their condition. Jin's vital signs showed extreme fatigue, but nothing dangerous. Lana, however, was in worse shape. The medical team looked concerned as they scanned her. "The Vosarian needs immediate rest and treatment," a doctor said. 3 days of continuous climbing has damaged muscle tissue." Jin watched as Lana was taken to a medical pod. He felt tired but strangely good. The runner's high that had carried him through the race was fading, but it left behind a sense of accomplishment. Grek approached. Jin, his large form towering over the human. "You ran well," the Krell war chief admitted. "And you showed honor by helping your competitor." "Thank you," Jin said. "How is your son?" "Recovering." He pushed beyond his limits. Grek's 4 eyes studied Jin. "He wants to know how humans do it, how you keep going when others must stop." Jin shrugged. "It's just how we evolved. On Earth, many animals are faster or stronger than humans. But we can keep going longer." Grek nodded slowly. "The council wishes to speak with you. There will be a ceremony tonight." That evening, Jin stood before the Galactic Council in a grand hall. He had showered and changed into fresh clothes, but his body still ached from the race. The hall was filled with aliens from all 23 species. At the front, Ambassador Rel stood with Tay and other officials. "Jin of Earth," Ambassador Rel began, "you have shown the galaxy something remarkable about humans. While you did not win the race, you won our respect. The Council has voted to establish formal relations with Earth immediately. Your people will be welcomed throughout the galaxy." The crowd applauded. Jin nodded his thanks, feeling a bit overwhelmed by the attention. "Before we conclude," Rel continued, "Chief Security Officer Tay wishes to share her research findings." Tay stepped forward. She activated a large screen showing data about human physiology. "My studies of humans have revealed something important," she said. "Their endurance is not their only advantage. Humans have unique mental abilities that work with their physical traits." Images appeared on the screen. Human brain scans, chemical analyses. When humans engage in extended physical activity, their brains release chemicals that create positive feelings, what they call a runner's high. This means humans actually enjoy the pursuit. They find pleasure in the chase itself. Murmurs spread through the crowd. Jin saw looks of surprise and concern on alien faces. "Furthermore," Tay continued, "humans show remarkable problem-solving abilities while in motion. Their brains work differently during pursuit. They adapt, find new solutions, predict patterns, and perhaps most importantly, they form social bonds easily, even with those they were pursuing." She looked at Jin. "We saw this when Jin helped Lana despite their competition. This combination of traits makes humans unique in the galaxy." After the ceremony, Jin found himself on a balcony overlooking the Krell landscape. The planet's 3 moons cast silver light over the terrain he had crossed during the race. He heard footsteps and turned to see Lana approaching. The Vosarian moved carefully, still recovering from her exertions. "They tell me I need 3 days of rest," she said. "How are you standing already?" "Humans recover quickly," Jin said. "It's part of our persistence hunting. We need to be ready for the next chase." Lana stood beside him at the railing. "I've been thinking about what happened in the canyon. You gave up winning to help me." "It wasn't really a choice," Jin said. "Seeing someone in danger, humans can't just walk away. That's what frightens the others," Lana said quietly. "Not your endurance, but what it means. A species that never stops chasing but also forms bonds with everyone they meet. You pursue relentlessly but also care relentlessly. Jin hadn't thought of it that way before. I suppose that's true. When you helped me on that ledge, Lana continued, I looked into your eyes. Do you know what I saw? Jin shook his head. I saw something ancient, a predator's focus, but also patience. You weren't rushing. You had all the time in the world. Lana shivered slightly. That's when I understood. That's when I knew why no one should ever run from a human. Why? Jin asked. Because you'll never stop coming, Lana said. But more frightening than that. By the time you catch us, we might not want to escape anymore. Jin considered her words. We're not trying to be frightening. We just want to connect with other species. I know, Lana said. That's what makes it more powerful. You don't even realize the effect you have. They stood in silence for a while, watching the moons. The council has asked me to be Earth's ambassador, Jin said finally. They want me to stay on the station and help build relations with all species. You should accept, Lana said. The galaxy needs to understand humans better. The next day, Jin stood with Tay in the council chamber. She showed him reports from across the galaxy. News of the race had spread everywhere. Humans were the main topic of conversation on thousands of worlds. They're calling it the human factor, Tay said. This combination of endurance, adaptability, and social bonding. Some find it frightening, others fascinating. And what do you think? Jin asked. Tay smiled. I think the galaxy just learned an important lesson. You should never run from a human, because they'll always catch you. But when they do, they might just save you too. Ambassador Rel entered the chamber with Grek. Both looked solemn. We have prepared a new diplomatic protocol, Rel announced. Based on what we've learned about humans, we believe it's important for all species to understand them better. Jin read the protocol on a data pad. You should never run from a human because they'll catch you. And worse, by the time they do, you might not want to escape anymore. Jin handed the pad back. Is that how you see us? As some kind of threat? Not a threat, Grek said. A reminder. All species have strengths. Yours is unique in a way we hadn't considered before. Jin looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there was Earth, a small planet that had produced a species unlike any other in the galaxy. Not the strongest or fastest, but perhaps the most determined. A species that would cross any distance, overcome any obstacle to make a connection. I accept the ambassador position, Jin said finally. I'll help the galaxy understand humans better. As he spoke, Jin felt a familiar feeling, the same focus and calm that had carried him through the race. The long hunt for understanding between species was just beginning, and humans were very, very good at the long hunt.